record on the cloud, and then screen share. Start my screen share. Good morning, everybody. Welcome to the December 9th meeting of the Rotary Club of Sebastopol Sunrise. Joyce, thank you very much for being our greeter. It was nice to see your smiling face early this morning. And Jim Gilliam, do you have the pledge for us, please?
Yes. As you know, Monday was my birthday, and that was Pearl Harbor Day.
Yes.
To remembrance of all the military and all the Boy Scouts and Girl Scouts and everybody else in America. Please raise your hand on your heart. And I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America
and to the republic
for which it stands,
under God,
under God,
liberty and justice for all.
Amen.
Thank you, Jim. And is Nick with us?
Nope.
That's right. He is in New York. So he sent me, let me get the recording thing out of the way, his thought for the day. Going beyond the shadow of the doubt, You start over on the left-hand side and you see doubt. Then you see the shadow of the doubt. Then you see secure understanding, absolute conviction, certain knowledge, and then the abyss, the giant rabbit hole, where all your certainties and convictions are abandoned. And on the other side, you have wisdom.
Ooh, can I get a copy of that?
That's a good one.
Yeah, I can, I'll email it to you, Marnie.
Thank you.
Do a screen grab.
That's what I did. I'll have it on Facebook.
Okay, good. So Joe.
So Barbara, have you been a good girl this holiday season?
Oh, of course. No
Because-
lumps of coal for me.
Well, we want to make sure because you know what? Santa Claus is coming to town.
I know.
So here we go. You better watch out. You better
not
cry. Better not out. I'm telling you why.
Santa Claus is coming to town.
He's making a list, checking it twice. He's gonna find out who's naughty and nice. Santa Claus is coming to town. He sees you when you're sleeping. He knows when you're okay. He knows if you've been had a good, so be good for goodness sake. Oh, you better watch out. You better not cry. You better not out. I'm telling you why. Santa Claus is coming to town.
All right.
Thank you. Do we have any cyber Rotarians today? I haven't seen anybody yet. So we have any cyber guests?
I put an egret in the background for you.
So wave to your friends. Good morning, everybody. It's always nice to see you. And then I get to mute everybody. Mute all. Da-da-da-da-da-da. Yes, you can unmute yourselves. So we have a couple of birthdays. I didn't see Charlie Judson yet, but Christina's birthday on the 13th, and my husband Steve has a birthday on the 14th. And as far as I know, no giant plans, just the usual. I'll let him decide where to go for takeout. So birthdays, But Jim Gilliam, you had your birthday was on Monday, on December 7th, and my daughter shares your birthday. And she always had a real hard time with it being Pearl Harbor Day and her birthday, because Pearl Harbor was not a happy day. But a few years ago, she went to Hawaii and met a Pearl Harbor vet on the flight over, and attended the ceremonies on December 7th there at the memorial with him. And I think she finally made peace with having to share her birthday. Now, I share my birthday with Hiroshima Day, so aren't we a pair? Aren't we a trio? So anyway, we have a couple of birthdays and no anniversaries, but Bob Keyser, your Rotary anniversary is December 12th. So Bob.
Well, you know, actually, I joined, if you don't remember, and then I had to stop and then rejoin. So that's my rejoin anniversary.
Yeah, well, that's the date we have in DAC-DB. So how many years has it been total? Not since the rejoin.
I have no idea. I think it's been 8 or 10, or it's been fun, you know.
Yeah. What is what is the moment that sort of was your aha moment for why you're in Rotary?
And I owe Bruce for this one, is that he said, you know, attend the Laguna graduation, and you know, if you really want to see your efforts come to fruition, you know, it's seeing these kids who, you know, through the years we've seen them at the meetings, at the you know, student of the month graduate. It's a tearjerker most of the time. Yeah. It's wonderful. And I recommend it to everyone I know too.
Yeah, it's a tissue event. Well, happy anniversary.
Thank you.
And then we just have a few things on the calendar. This is kind of a short month. We have the holiday dinner boxes, and then we're dark for 2 weeks. Then January 7th, if you remember from last week when I was talking about it, this is the Santa Rosa Sunrise and Valley of the Moon Rotary Club's joint Zoom meeting, lunchtime on January 7th, and it's the chair of the Nature Conservancy. 3 people said they want to attend. If anybody else wants to attend, please shoot me an email, and then when I get the Zoom information, I will send it out. But the topic is how global warming in the Arctic will affect you. Yeah, it's not a little topic, but it should be an extremely interesting meeting. So if you want to attend, this is noon, January 7th. Let me know, shoot me an email.
Hello, I'm a new member and I need to know your name and email. I don't have it.
Oh, yes. Is this Henry? Yes. Okay. From this, you're a visiting Rotarian this week, Henry.
Say again?
You're a visiting Rotarian this week.
Oh, I'm sorry. That's right. I've applied for membership. I am a current.
Right. So Henry, I have your email. So I'm writing your name down, okay. And I will make sure that you get the information, okay? So, Michael McLaughlin.
Oh, what a nice looking box.
I had to get something. So.
Okay, so we are progressing very nicely on our Christmas dinner box program. The food is now all on order and is starting to come in. They're going to get a hell of a box. They're going to get a chicken. They're going to get stuffing. They're going to get fresh potatoes, carrots, onions, cranberries, sweet potatoes, dinner rolls, and a nice pie for dessert. It's kind of funny. We thought we would all put them into wine boxes, wine cases. But when we picked up the wine case, it only covered about half of the goods that we're putting in the box. So there was real panic earlier in the week. But fortunately, Corbell came through with champagne cases for us. So I don't know if they're actually champagne cases or if they're the boxes, the shipping boxes for champagne cases. But at any rate, they're big, and we will have enough room to put everything in. So I'm thankful for that, and thankful for Corbell for coming through. It's going to be kind of a last minute deal. We will start on the 23rd. And a sign-up sheet will be, Kathy will get a sign-up sheet out later on today. It's actually, we're setting this up so that it's all socially distanced. It's going to be very safe, and we're limiting the amount of exposure that anyone has even there. We're limiting things to basically 2-hour shifts. So we will start at 7 a.m. with a setup. And then we will have 2 shifts between 9 and 1 p.m. where we actually construct the 300 dinner boxes, and then we'll have a shift from 1 to 3 where we're actually going to be disseminating the boxes to the folks that come through. Good news, we're also going to have toys this year. There was a real question as to whether or not we would be able to get any toys, but I've spoken with Toys for Tots, and we will be getting some. So we're going to set those up in the main parking lot of the Art Center well before the area where we disperse the actual dinners themselves. So we're going to need some people for that. Basically, each box shift is going to require about 16 people. So we're going to have about 50 people involved altogether between setup, tear down, building the boxes, and delivering the boxes. So please look for that sign-up sheet as it comes out. It'll be out today or tomorrow at the latest. And please sign up. We're going to need the help.
Michael, don't forget the most important shift.
What's that?
Tear down.
That tear down, exactly right. Speaking of which, we need to prepare. I don't think we're going to have inclement weather, but you never know. Having
Murphy's Law.
Having been through many Cajun festivals, I don't trust the weather. So we're going to need pop-up tents. The club has 4 pop-up tents in storage. I think with the toys and with the distribution area that we're probably going to need 10 to 12 pop-ups. So if anybody has a pop-up, please shoot me an email and let me know that you'll bring it. Thank you, Linton. We need those pop-ups. The other thing is that on the 23rd, there'll be a special shift. We're going to, the dinner rolls that we're getting come in packages of 12, and we need to break those down to packages of 6s. So we need to repack those, and that'll happen on Wednesday afternoon. And there'll be a sign up for that.
Where? Have we decided where yet?
No. Maybe at, I don't know yet.
Okay.
I'd like to find an outside spot. Maybe we
Gotcha.
Maybe we can do it at Boletto's. I'm hoping that they have some space out there that we can use. Beyond that, we're meeting the next 2 Tuesday nights at 5:30 on a Zoom. I sent out the link, and anybody that else that wants to participate, shoot me an email and I'll send you the link.
I think it's in the members only section.
Yeah.
Yes, donation.
Donations, exactly. Yeah, thank you very much to Jim Goodenough. He's put up a great donation board, a post on the main page of our website on the home page, right up at the top in nice big bold red letters. So if we would ask that if you are so inclined that you contribute, we're asking, it's basically about $25 to build one of these boxes. And so we'd like to get some donations for that. I think that's about it.
Okie dokie. It's coming together.
It's
Yeah.
going to be not only our club, but the Noon Club and the Center for the Arts and the VFW, local VFW chapter is going to be joining in and helping us with traffic control. So it really feels like it's going to become a kind of a real community event here. And I think it's going to be a real good feeling event. I'm really excited about it. And I hope you all are too.
Bring your masks and gloves, but we're gonna have masks and gloves also available.
Right.
And everyone will be 6 feet apart and we'll be outside and yeah.
And I want to thank Terry Kelly for putting together flyers.
I'm sorry, I forgot that.
Yeah, we have flyers. We're going to be distributing boxes at the Center for the Arts, but we're also going to be having boxes that will be distributed by the Interfaith Food Pantry and some of the churches. So we have a flyer for people to let everybody know that we're doing this, and we'll be sending that out to the schools and putting flyers up around town in the Great and Day Labor Center. And then there's going to be a separate flyer for people who are going to sign up to pick up their boxes at the other sites.
Not sign up, just pick them up.
Right, right.
I just want to chime in quickly and just thank Lori Darling for supplying all our needs and beyond with masks, gloves, gowns, sanitizer.
Yeah.
Everything is available for us, and it'll go on for other events should it be needed. So thanks again, Lori.
Yeah,
And
thank you,
Wayne.
Lori.
Wayne has like 300 masks for us also if we need it.
Yep, good. Thank you. This is fun, and it's definitely a collaboration with the Noon Club. So the week in review. Terry Kelly.
Saw this on Twitter yesterday and just thought it was pretty cool. I'm sure you know Michael McFaul is a former Russian ambassador, foil apparently to his surprise to the federal leadership, and is an extremely sought after, brilliant international scholar. And so he's been in the news a lot, and he's at Stanford right now. He's a professor at Stanford in international studies, and someone, no idea who, welcomed him into the Paul Harris world a couple days ago. And this is just another way we can reach the community and maybe reach those people that we may consider unreachable. There's folks out there who are doing a lot of good work in our town or in our world that live in our town that we might be able to reach out and do something like this for. But I thought that was fairly cool. And he was extremely appreciative, and all the comments were really positive about Rotary. So it's good to see.
Thank you. So Diana, I know this is not a particularly inspiring slide, but Diana Curtis, do you have some Rotary Foundation moment for us?
Yes, I do. We're looking at a terrible pandemic right now. And about 60 years ago, there was one with polio. And everyone was scared to death of it. It's almost gone. The wild virus is still in the world. It hasn't been eliminated. And it's something that is still frightening to me after growing up around polio. It is a plane ride away. It could resurge, but Rotary has done a fantastic job in joining with other organizations in helping eliminate polio. Right now, we are talking about the Polio Plus Society, and Bruce Campbell has made a generous offer. Anyone who's joining the Polio Plus Society, he will match them with 100 points for your Paul Harris Fellow. Now, I'm very pleased with Bruce for doing this. I'm happy. You need to do this by the 15th of December to get the matching points. I've sent out, or actually, our club sent out a form that you can fill in to pledge $100 a year to the Polio Plus Society to wipe out polio, and you will be a member. So I want to thank everyone who has and appreciate it. The other thing that I wanted to mention is it's almost the end of the year, and you can make your tax deductible donation to the Rotary Foundation. If you've been thinking about that, that's another good one. Anyway, that's my my little spiel on Rotary Foundation, and I want to thank all of you who've been so generous and contributed. Thanks.
Thank you, Diana.
Barbara,
Yes.
I'm looking at the calendar, the 15th is a Tuesday. We'll extend that through next week's meeting of those who pledge to sign up for the Polio Plus Society. And that's $100, pledge $100 a year until we have eliminated polio. So it's not a forever thing, hopefully.
Great, thank
Barbara,
you. Mm-hmm.
I'd also like to point out that donations to our club foundation are also tax deductible.
Right.
Well, Mike and Barbara, on top of that, the thing we talked about the other day,
Yes.
there's a provision in the tax code that is good probably for this year. Donations to eligible organizations, of which our foundation is, have a tax credit that is called a CARES Act tax credit or something to that such
It's a
nonsense.
deduction.
It's a deduction. And so actually, well, whatever it is available. It's very poorly publicized. I stumbled upon it a couple days ago. So ask your tax person what that is, and if you're interested in it. I think it limits to $300 donation total. Very generous.
What it is that for those of you who take the standard deduction, it's a deduction on top of that. It's an extra $300 deduction on top of the standard deduction that you can take for charitable contributions. And that's all I know because I've read about it in the newspaper, and Darlene probably knows a whole lot more about it, but I don't know. Anyway, you have an opportunity. So thank you.
Just chiming in again. It's my understanding that you can contribute up to 60% of your adjusted gross income to donate.
Yes.
It's an amazing giveaway. I mean, I don't know who's capable of doing that, but you can do that if you want to do that this year through the same CARES Act.
Right.
I think you'd be eligible for that, Patrick.
Thanks. I appreciate that.
Okay. So I received this picture because, of course, we had our holiday First Friday last Friday, but we couldn't do it in person. And we certainly couldn't do it at, and enjoy Scott and Jane's home with Jane's wonderful decorations. But I did receive this picture that I thought was kind of nice. Bruce, in all your glory.
Where'd you get the hat?
I really don't remember, Henry.
I think it was something left over from Cajun.
But I want to say we had like 25 people for First Friday. So that was great.
Yeah, it was a lot of fun.
Chips and dip.
It's not a long time.
Hey, Marty owes us money because he left his chip and dip virtual plate. Sombrero hat. I think that's $20, Marty.
So Marty, here's your virtual chip and dip plate back.
Every time I say that, it reminds me of our friend Frank Bardella.
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. And then, Linda, you talked about this earlier, that holiday spirit. First Christmas tree I've seen. Actually, our neighbors have their tree up, but that's
Gorgeous.
a beautiful tree.
It
I've
smells
had
good too.
Napoli.
Yeah. It's it was a process. We got the tree up and then the next day the lights and then that night the ornaments. Now I have to find my tree skirt. I have no idea
Yeah.
where it is.
Yeah, when you're 20, you'll just stay up all night and do everything.
I know it's a little different. But yeah, it feels great to decorate. Since we're staying home, we may as well make it festive, right?
Yep. Absolutely.
I agree.
Absolutely. So do we have any happy bucks? Well, first of all, before we do that, I have kind of in a way, a sad buck. Lori, darling, don't worry, you haven't done anything, but I have made you co-host because PG&E is supposed to cut our power off this morning at 9 a.m. because they're going to replace a transformer. So if I disappear because PG&E cuts our power off before they're supposed to, Lori, then hopefully you can continue close the meeting, please.
Okay, sounds good.
Okay, because you kind of know the sequence, but yeah, this is called Murphy's Law. I mean, yesterday afternoon, I was sitting here working on stuff and all of a sudden my universal power supply starts beeping and I go, oh, crap, because we had the holiday dinner meeting at 5:30. Well, we finally, so it went off from about 12:30 until almost 5 yesterday. So Murphy's Law, you're the host if I have to evaporate from the scene. Okay, so anybody have happy bucks? Nobody's happy? Oh, come on. Somebody's happy about something.
I'll do 20 happy bucks for because Henry came as a guest today and wants to join our club. So 20 bucks. Happy bucks.
Thank you. And welcome, Henry. Looking forward to meeting you and seeing more of you.
Have we introduced Henry?
Am I what?
Have we introduced you?
Well,
No.
no. Okay, so Kathy, why don't you do a more formal introduction of Henry?
Let me do happy bugs first. I just want to say one thing. Okay?
Okay.
Okay. Here, I don't know if you can hear me. I got to play for 2 winter spirals and these Waldorf events, which are each kid walks this spiral and goes in and lights a candle. So you get to see 15 kindergartners. And each one of them has their own walk and their own level of excitement or fear. And it was really fun. And I get to do it for my wife's. We were expecting, this is why it's happened. We were expecting to not be able to do it because of that COVID, but they ended up figuring out a way to do it outside and only have one kid and not have everybody watching. Yeah, so I got to play flute for it. It was pleasant surprise. 20 bucks?
Thank you. So Kathy, would you do a more formal introduction of Henry, please?
Sure. Henry Alker, currently a member of the Noon Club, wanting to come on over to our club, is a retired college professor. And he was a full-time professor at Cornell University. And he has a PhD in personality psychology. He also sat on the committee that would choose the students that were wanting to enter the college. So he loves young people. And if we have some kids that need help, trying to figure out how to get into a college, Henry would be very interested in doing that. He's also a member of the Archie Clump Fellow. He's an Archie Clump Fellow, which means he's donated a certain amount to the foundation, Rotary Foundation. So yeah. So
welcome, Henry.
Welcome, Henry.
Welcome, Henry.
Well, thank you all. Right on time. We have a very, very special speaker today. We have Phyllis Meshlam and Jerry if you want to take it away.
All right, thank you. Well, it's with great pleasure to introduce Phyllis. She's not only the poet laureate, but she's the author of 5 collections of poetry, most recently Land of My Father's War, winner of an Artists Embassy International Prize last year. Joy Harjo, the current poet laureate of the United States, said of her book, an urgency of spirit has emerged eloquently here in these poems of perception and even prophecy. Phyllis's work has appeared in numerous literary magazines. She's taught with California poets in the schools for more than 20 years, teaching from 2nd grade all the way up through juvenile hall. She coordinated Sonoma County's Poetry Out Loud, a nationwide high school recitation program, for 13 years. And she edited Cal Poet's Poetry Crossing, a joyful collection of lessons and poems. Phyllis has an MFA from Vermont College of Fine Arts and a BA from Pomona College. She also has a bilingual certificate of competence. And I can assure you she's a very competent wife and person. So pleasure to introduce Phyllis.
Better unmute myself.
Yep.
Greetings, Sebastopol Sunrise. So glad to be here and be able to share with you my passion for poetry. It's one of the oldest artistic expressions humanity has ever developed. It's very portable, and in just a handful of words, one can move people to laughter or tears. It used to be a more prominent art form in our society. Newspapers would often publish poems, and poets like Edna St. Vincent Millay were kind of the rock stars of their day. I'm not sure how or why this changed, but I think you'll probably agree that it has. Some people, like Dana Gioia, now a Sonoma County resident and the former California Poet Laureate, have made important contributions to reversing that trend. As head of the National Endowment for the Arts in the 2000s, Gioia started a program called Poetry Out Loud, a poetry recitation competition for high school students. It's become very popular, reaching more than 4 million students and 65,000 teachers from 16,000 schools in all the states and all the territories. Sonoma County has distinguished itself in having more participation, both in terms of number of students and of schools, than any other county in all of California. In the ancient Olympics, there were poetry competitions along with the athletic ones. And the idea of a laureate is from ancient Greece. The laurel wreath used to crown winners gave birth to the word laureate. To be chosen for the Sonoma County Poet Laureate, one must submit a description of proposed projects. Mine have evolved due to the pandemic, but basically one is to offer very reliable lessons to classroom teachers so that they can offer more poetry to more kids in Sonoma County. The other is to do a book of works by county residents on the subject of how we can find a more sustainable future by living more compatibly with the planet and all her inhabitants. One of my poems that might fit in this group is called Planet of the Apples. Thank goodness Eve broke the taboo about apples, or what would we in Sebastopol do in the summer, especially this year when we badly need our apple a day in the time of the plague. This tart and sweet fruit can capture our moods. Planet Gravenstein may be Mars or the moon, often striped like Jupiter too, lately with a very smoky atmosphere. Thankfully, that part is no longer true. What better way to say I love you than with fruit resembling the heart. Give it to the apple of your eye, or to a teacher, or you can perform open heart surgery, cut the corazon out of the apple, slice fruit into pie, cook it into crisp or sauce, and there you have it, another open-hearted gift. They say Johnny Appleseed was a friend to the natives and to animals, that he shared stories, young trees, and cider, even more than seeds, that he spread the gospel of equality and animism, that he looked out for all sentient beings, even insects, that he was vegetarian and walked barefoot from Pennsylvania to Indiana. Spend less time in airplanes and cars. Open up the apples of our hearts. Revise the apple of our planet to include fewer hurricanes and fires, more trees, more fruit, more pies.
Thank you.
Okay, so we might even have a few star contributors to the poem, to this book of poetry that I envision. I worked with Joy Harjo a few years ago, and I told her about this possibility of this project. And she said she would be willing to contribute. And I would love to include this poem of hers in the book. Again, she's the current Poet Laureate of the United States. And this is one of her books, Conflict Resolutions for Holy Beings. It's called Rabbit is Up to Tricks. In a world long before this one, there was enough for everyone until somebody got out of line. We heard it was Rabbit, fooling around with clay and the wind. Everybody was tired of his tricks, and no one would play with him. He was lonely in this world. So Rabbit thought to make a person. And when he blew into the mouth of that crude figure to see what would happen, the clay man stood up. Rabbit showed the clay man how to steal a chicken. The clay man obeyed. Then Rabbit showed the clay man how to steal corn. The clay man obeyed. Then he showed him how to steal someone else's wife. The clay man obeyed. Rabbit felt important and powerful. The clay man felt important and powerful. And once that clay man started, he could not stop. Once he took that chicken, he wanted all the chickens. And once he took that corn, he wanted all the corn. And once he took that wife, he wanted all the wives. He was insatiable. Then he had a taste of gold, and he wanted all the gold. Then it was land and anything else he saw. His wanting only made him want more. Soon it was countries, and then it was trade. The wanting infected the earth. We lost track of the purpose and reason for life. We began to forget our songs. We forgot our stories. We could no longer hear our ancestors or talk with each other across the kitchen table. Forests were being mowed down all over the world, and Rabbit had no place to play. Rabbit's trick had backfired. Rabbit tried to call the clayman back, but when the clayman wouldn't listen, Rabbit realized he'd made a clayman with no ears.
Thank you.
Okay. So now in honor of the 79th anniversary of Pearl Harbor this week, and also that is also the 50th anniversary of Jerry's enlisting in the Navy, I'll read a poem to you from my book, Land of My Father's War. This particular poem is about my godfather. You'll hear a few different voices in it. Some are from the war letters that largely inspired this book when I read them a few years ago. My parents war letters from during World War II. A woodsman for the Lord. Across the seas, my parents sent their paper airmails. Piecemeal news about an army chaplain, my godfather to be. He went to help a soldier, found a mine, and lost his leg. I'm grieving all day for you, for your best friend. And Pete wrote, they want to make a hero out of me, but I was just about to lend a guy a hand. I didn't mean to give away my foot. My Uncle Pete would let me tap his leg, his store-bought leg, through the black cloth of his cleric's pants. Sometimes it squeaked, like the Tin Woodmans, he said. Why did they adopt? I asked my mom, meaning Aunt Gretchen and Uncle Pete. Perhaps it was his war wound, she said, and stared into the past. Your dad has found his own success with books, Mom mused, but Pete takes his wife dancing. In their old age, my father said, as a soldier, I wasn't much. Your Uncle Pete requested me as his organist in Belgium. No luck, or so I thought. But soon, on army pay, I taught Italian in a villa. You never know. No, never. Helpless gesture. I was the lucky one. Dad shook his head with admiration as he laid the Christmas letter in the bowl. Each year, Pete writes beautiful blank verse. So, so that is iambic pentameter, which my godfather wrote all his Christmas letters in. It wasn't rhyming like much of Shakespeare's plays, but it was beautiful blank verse. Okay, so it's very important to me that we continue to focus on issues of race that came to the fore this summer. So this poem is one expression of my concern. It's called A New Quilt for Martin Luther King Jr. James Earl Ray boasted, I slew the dreamer. Who was this man who killed my hero, MLK? Ray stood in a tub in a flophouse and shot at the mountaintop. That is, at the Lorraine Motel across the way. All this happened in Memphis, a southern town, but Ray was Midwest, Scotch, Irish, Welsh, a kind of quilt. Makes me think of my grandma's background and her quilt that still covers me at night when I turn into a dreamer. It was pieced intricately in a small Illinois town where my mother grew up. Things were not really okay, and Mom told me she couldn't wait to get away. Of course, in Illinois, there are no mountaintops. King didn't mean that kind of mountaintop, nor did I mean a blanket when I first said quilt. But it turns out that Ray was also from Illinois, by the way. His prison escapes and passports show he was a schemer. My sister thinks our grandpa was a leader in the KKK and learned that Illiopolis was a sundown town, which meant if you're Black by sundown, you'd best be out of town. See the kind of climbing some must do to get to their mountaintop? You might have to prevail over depression as well as racism, like MLK, or piece together income, self-respect, education, like a quilt, or overcome vicious nightmares to become a dreamer. More and more, our country seems to have lost its way. If we let him, Martin will show us the loving, nonviolent way. Throughout this country, in every city, state, and town, we have so many families and dreamers who crossed deserts, oceans, mountaintops, hoping to stitch together ragged pieces into a quilt, a safer life, while inheriting the potent legacy of MLK. I once had a student who said, "He's my main squeeze, that MLK." I struggle with my own history and weaknesses to find my way. Can I love the pastel kaleidoscope and thrift of my quilt, still absolve my guilt, make a difference in classroom and town? Maybe from there, I'll find the path to my own mountaintop, looking for the fresh air that will help me grow dreamers. Thank you. All right, so I'm going to read one more. It's short. I think I have time. So this one will give you something of an idea about how I've been coping with the pandemic. It's called I'm with Stinky. Jerry wants me to make sure I'm not referring to him, that you know I'm not referring to him.
Only after bike ride.
I'm with Stinky, the t-shirt read. My mother was appalled. Why would one put such a thing upon a child? I was older than a child when an impromptu palm reader told me my intuition line did not exist. Intuition, indecision, always was good at the latter, bad at the former. In these fill in your own hyperbolic adjective times, when the family of the familiar is estranged, I'm cultivating a new companion, instinct. I call her Stinky. I ask, what say you, Stinky? Shall we or no? She nods, shakes, or nudges. I'm with her.
Thank you.
All right, so
We'll be right back.
I'll be very happy to answer any questions if anybody has any at this
Are you
point.
from Sebastopol area?
Well, that's where I live now and have for 37 years, but I'm from Illinois.
Are there any other currently productive poets living in Sebastopol area that you know?
Oh yeah, lots of them.
Has there ever been an event where they had a joint reading and show the concentration of talent in this area that we have here? It's be good for the image of the town.
Well, you know, Sebastopol Center for the Arts is actually the sponsor for the, even though it's a county-wide position, there's the sponsor for the whole county.
I haven't seen their program in this area. Have they done one?
Well, it's usually the location of the installation ceremony for the new poet laureate. And usually that everybody turns out to, this year it was all virtual, but everybody turns out to that in force. And, but they have a lot of things planned, and I've had a few health issues in the last few months, so it's been a little hard for me to take advantage of it, but they would like me to do at least sponsor a quarterly reading through the Sebastopol Center for the Arts, and even monthly if I could pull it off. So anyway, we'll be doing some more of that kind of stuff.
There's also the Word Temple prior to the pandemic every month in Sebastopol.
That's true.
I don't know that event. What is the Word Temple?
Well, it was a poetry reading that occurred at the Sebastopol Center for the Arts. A very excellent one that would bring in people from all around the country, really. There were lots of really big name poets who would come and read at it, but also they had featured readers like that, but then they would also have and Rumi's Caravan, that's also another thing. Larry Robinson is a wonderful proponent of poetry who lives right here in town. And he does a lot of things. Rumi's Caravan is usually held in Santa Rosa, but it has its roots in Sebastopol, actually. So anyway, yeah, we'll hope to do more.
Larry publishes a poem every day. I think it's on Facebook.
Yes, Larry
very
does do
good.
that. Yeah, he does a poem a day. You can
Phyllis, how would
subscribe
you
to it.
distinguish between a poet or poetry and a personal essay?
More music, I would say. A
Say more
personal
about it.
essay doesn't really concern itself too much with the music of the words, whereas poetry is all about that. Good question, though.
Yeah. Well, Phyllis, I know over the years, I've always admired you because of the work that you've done with students. I know my poetry, my childhood experience with poetry and having to write poetry were torturous. And I'm sure that having a specific program that you led in the schools allowed more kids to enjoy the beauty of poetry instead of the torture of having to produce it. So I really want to thank you for that, because poetry does have a lot of, like you said, it has song and has beauty to it. So thank you.
Yeah, that's been a great pleasure and gift in my life, is working with young people. But it's funny because I think of people mostly not having been given the chance to write their own poems, mostly just been required to read it and explicate it and stuff like that. But I often have kids will say to me, well, I'm not good at poetry. And then they end up writing an amazing poem. They just need a few little guideposts to get them started. They need some examples and some starter lines sometimes will help them, you know, and other kids' poems will be helpful to them.
Great. Thank you. Any more questions, comments? Thank you, Phyllis.
I was just going to add in the students, you know, Phyllis has shared some of the student poems with me, and she teaches a lot in the Latino community, you know, in those schools, and the emotions that these kids can put out in a poem that they would never be able to just speak out loud in the classroom. You know, the heartbreak and, you know, where their parents or grandparents were immigrants from Mexico, and just an amazing emotional poetry that is able to come out, and it's a great service to the schools, the California poets in the schools.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Phyllis. Really appreciate you joining us this morning.
You're welcome. My pleasure. Thank you, everybody.
I'll go back and share my screen again. And yes, I had to go answer the door because the people are here to start replacing the transformer, but he assured me he's not going to cut me off until 9. So yay. So Mark Reese, do you have a way clean joke for us today? I know I saw you there. So Mark, where are you? Mark.
I do not have a joke for you today.
Oh dear, can you make one up?
Not quick enough, I don't think.
Knock, knock.
Who's there?
Orange.
Orange? Who?
Orange, you glad you got asked to do a way clean joke today?
Absolutely.
Okie doke.
I have a riddle. I have a
Okay.
riddle.
Yes.
What gets wetter the more it dries?
I don't know.
A towel.
Oh, very good. Very good. Okay, so who was the magic number 30 today, Michael Fells? Do you
Yeah,
have
number 30. Let's see. That was Rod. Number
Rod?
30.
Okie dokie. Rod, you are going to get this. Well, you're not going to get it unless it wins. The
Yeah.
Magic Lottery scratcher ticket. I will scratch it off, and if you win something, I will let you know. But
Okay,
so
thank
far,
you,
these have been a bust. So then, Joe, can you lead us out, please?
Okay, and then here we go. Happy trails to you until we meet again. Happy trails to you. Keep smiling on the bend. Happy trails to you till we meet again.
Thank you all for coming,
Bye all.
guys.
Bill Sauber, if you're there, please stay on.
Oh, and Al, has everybody responded on membership? If anyone's on membership that hasn't responded? Is everybody gone?
Have a great week, everybody.
All right.
Kathy, it's under control.
All right. Okay.
Everything is under control. We like that. We like that.
Bye.
Okay, bye all. There we go. Recording, stop.